To set up two-factor authentication, we first need to make sure that the features are enabled. So we'll go to the API folder, config, and then we're going to the fortify.php. And then for two-factor, we're just going to uncomment these out. This confirm password, basically all this is you can turn this on and off. So if you want a user, once you enable it, if you want them to confirm their password when they enable or when they disable, then you would keep this to true. If you don't care whether or not they confirm with their password, then you can just change this to false, but this is the default setting for now. The next thing that we can do is head over to the app models user model and make sure that that's enabled in here, which it's not. What we need to do is put as the trait, we need to add two-factor authenticatable, and then it's gone ahead and imported that up top for us. Great. Now, if we go ahead and take a look at what this authenticatable is doing, it's just giving us some routes to either grab the recovery codes, and this is the field that we'll be looking for, or we can replace the recovery code. So if you want to regenerate the codes, this would be the route that we'll be hitting. And then grabbing two-factor QR, this is for the QR code. Okay, so it's just rendering it as an SVG, and it's returning it to us. And there's also this is the URL for it. So fantastic. Let's close this, this, and this. Now, if we head over to the route, and they're in our API routes because we have them commented out here. Okay, let's see. We've already done reset password, so we can get rid of this. And email verification we'll do later. We can get rid of this one. We'll leave the password confirmation for now because we do need to grab the status. And we need these two factors. So these are the ones that it'll be hitting. This is just for the page. Okay, so we'll just leave the rest for now. We can close this for now, and then we can head over to the client folder. And in here, we're going to create a new page in our auth folder, and we're going to call it two-factor authentication.view. We're going to add some HTML, and then here for now, we'll just put hi from two-factor, and then in our script tags, we need to add the layout. So it's app layout, because we want to make sure that it has the same layout as this. So let's go ahead and make a link, or add the Nuxt link to that. So it's in layouts, app layout, and then in the settings tab, it's going to be auth two-factor authentication. Now let's head back to the browser and make sure that that link works. Okay, settings, hi from two-factor. So we're good to go there. Fantastic. Now let's head back. We can close the layout file. And then I'm just going to paste a bunch of code just to get us started. And then I'll go over what everything is. If we head up to the top, it's basically just a div with some classes in it. A lot of this stuff we're going to be rendering conditionally. So two-factor authentication is the title. Going to add additional security. It's just basically giving directions. This is what we are going to display based on whether or not our authentication is enabled. So this and this. And then here are more directions for the token. And then we're also going to have, if two-factor authentication is now enabled, scan the following code, and we're going to display our code right here. And then the recovery codes are going to be displayed right here. Okay, and then there's a button to enable. There's a button to regenerate. There's a button to show the recovery codes. And there's a button to disable. Okay, and here's our form where we enter our password for our confirmation. It's going to display the message that we get back from the server. We're going to input the password, and then we're going to submit it. There's a confirm and a cancel button, and that's pretty much it. So now down here, we need to have a couple of data properties. Well, we need a few of them. So data equals, let's go ahead and make sure our form is here. password, going to be an empty string. And then for now, what we have displayed, we want to have errors, and we're going to leave that as an empty array. And then our message, we're going to leave as an empty string. So let's take a quick look and see what we have so far. So the first thing we can do is to get rid of this open modal thing that we have here so that we don't see it just yet. Right in our data property, we can put open confirm. And then for now, just to see what it's supposed to look like, we'll just say true. And then if we go up to where our modal is, right here, I'm just going to paste this in. And we're basically rendering a black background, and the opacity is going to be 50. So if the open confirm is true, then we're going to render this on the back end. If not, it's going to be empty, and then we're putting the v if open confirm on there. So we now have it set to true. So let's see what we have. Okay, so as you can see, we have that nice sort of shading in the background, and the modal is present. Now let's go ahead and turn it off so that we can make it work like it's intended. So we'll go down, and open confirm will set to false. Fantastic. So now we kind of want to start rendering things based on whether we have two-factor authentication enabled or not. So we'll start with this one. You have and you have not enabled. So we can make a data property. We'll have is enabled, and we'll set it to false. And then we can create a computed property and do a, let's see, computed. And we could have it set up so that it's always checking whether or not it's enabled. So two-factor enabled. And then we're going to say return this is enabled, or this auth user two-factor secret. And we're getting this two-factor secret. If we go to the database and we go to our users table, there's a field for two-factor secret. And right now it's null because all of our users, they don't have it enabled. But if it was, this would have a value in it, and so would the two-factor recovery codes. It would be encoded for us. Okay, so we can start rendering out that text properly. So if we go all the way to the top, and now you have two-factor authentication enabled, we can say if two-factor enabled, and then here we can say else. Okay, so now let's go check it out, and now we should only have one line. Okay, so you have not enabled two-factor authentication, and let's check our View DevTools. View. And let's drop this down a little bit. Nuxt. Go to our page. Okay, so is enabled is false, and two-factor enabled is null, which is exactly what we wanted. Now let's head over and handle these enable and disable buttons too. Let's go down. Okay, so this first template will be if not two-factor enabled, and on the second template we'll say else. Okay, so now let's take a look at the browser, and now this button should be gone. Okay, and so now we only have our enable button, our QR codes have disappeared, and our disable button is gone. So let's get this enable to work. Go back to the browser, and then here we're going to put at submit prevent equals enable. Now let's head down and create that method. And we're going to do an async enable. And then we're going to do a try catch. And in the try, we are going to say await this Axios host API user two-factor authentication. Okay, now this route, again, as I've said before, is in our API.php file. Well, it's not in the file, but it's one of the methods that we are using. We go down. This is the route that we're calling right here. Okay, so it's two-factor enable. And then to delete, it'll be to destroy. Or to when we get ready to delete, it'll be the delete method. And then we'll use these, one to call the QR code, one to grab the recovery codes, and then the other is to regenerate. We went through that earlier in the episode. After await, we can now say this is enabled equals true. And so after that, for now, we'll just console the error. Let's go ahead and see what this enable does now. Go back. We are getting back a 423 error. Okay, which basically it's not getting it. So let's find out what's going on. So before anything, let's see if we can get a clear error. So error, if error, response, data, message. Because understand, we're supposed to be getting back a message for this error. If there is a response data message, then console log error, response, data, message. So let's see if that gives us a bit of a better error. Open up our console and we'll refresh for good measure. We'll go ahead and click enable again. Okay, password confirmation required. So this is the message that we're supposed to be getting. We need our modal to pop up so that we can show this in the modal. Now let's go back. We are going to say this message equals, get rid of this parentheses here. So we're going to declare this message equals whatever that message is. And we're also going to say this open confirm equals true. This is the modal that we set up earlier, this open confirm. Okay, so let's go back down, go back. Okay, and let's go ahead and click enable again. Okay, so now we have our password. Fantastic. I want to make sure there's an action on that button to cancel out of it. Now let's go up to that button, this cancel button right here, and we're going to say @click prevent equals open confirm equals not open confirm. Let's just be sure that that works before we move on. Go back. Go ahead and click enable. We got our pop-up and cancel. Fantastic. So now we need to actually check the status of the user. So what we're going to do is we're going to create another data property and we're going to call it is confirmed. And if you remember earlier, we added the option of confirming whether or not the user was going to have to add their password or not. So this is confirmed. We are going to call that method. And again, if we go to the API.php, we can take a look. This is the get user password confirmation that we can call in order to verify whether or not that user has it enabled. So the method that we can call now is async confirm status, and we'll say try. And we'll call that method. So await this Axios, or we're going to call the route get API user confirm password status. Then after this, we're going to say then response equals this is confirmed equals response confirmed. Okay, and the error, we'll just console log out the error. So now this confirmed status, we kind of always want to be checking it every time the page loads up. So let's do a mounted lifecycle hook. We'll say this confirm status, and this should actually be parentheses. And again, that will just make a quick check, letting the browser know whether or not we have our password confirmed. So one of the other things we need to do also is to return the recovery codes and the QR codes. Now, I know it seems like I'm going out of order, and I might be, but just bear with me, okay? So the first thing we want to do is have QR code, and that's going to be an empty string. And then the next thing, we're going to have the recovery codes, and that's actually going to be an array because it's going to be a list of recovery codes. Now we also have two functions or two routes to get these for us. So one is this to get the two-factor code, and one is to get the recovery code. Okay, so let's also add that now. Put them underneath. So the first one will be async show QR code. And we'll do a try catch. Here we'll say await this Axios get API user two factor QR code, then response equals this QR code equals response SVG that we'll need. Now catch is just console log the error. Okay, and then we'll do the next one. Why don't we just copy this one out for now? Copy, paste, and this will be show recovery codes. This Axios get two-factor recovery codes, and then we have rec codes, and then this we just need the response. The error, we're going to say if error response data message this message equals, because again we're looking for that please confirm password message. So if there's a message, then the message will be error response data message, and then after that we will want to open up that modal. Open confirm equals true. Okay, and that's that. So for now we're just gonna shrink those down. Now in our enable method, we can also add, so if this goes through just fine, then we can do this show QR code, this show recovery codes. And now let's go ahead and add those to the template. Close this up. And now here for where our codes are being displayed, we can add if two-factor enabled. And then on this one, we're going to have if QR code. And then to display this QR code here, we can do a div. And then since it's an image, we can do v HTML equals QR code. And so now on this flex one, we can say if rec codes, and then to display those codes, we can just have a div, and on the div, we'll just loop through them. So we'll do v4 in parentheses, code, index, in codes, or in rec codes. Key will be the index, and then right here, we'll just display the code. Once we open up the confirmation modal, okay, we need a function here to submit that password. So we'll say at submit prevent equals, we'll call it confirm password. Okay, so now let's head down and create that method. We'll do it under this one. So async confirm password. And then we're going to do a try catch. And the route will be await this Axios host user confirm password. And then we're going to pass in this form. And then also we'll have this open confirm equals false. And then for error, we'll just return any of our validation errors. So this errors equal error response data errors. Also under this open confirm, we can do this enable, because that's the enable method that we're trying to call. That's this one here when we are trying to confirm our password and then enable it. So let's make sure that functionality works. Make sure that's clear. Console not defined. 143. Cons. Okay, let's try it again. Okay, so before we even get to the enable part, we already have an error. So this error is coming from the confirm password status function that we have. And it's basically not able to find the user. So what we can do is grab the user, because we're doing this from a mounted lifecycle hook. So what we can do here is put this under confirm status. We'll say async get user. So it's not able to grab all of the details from the database just yet. So now we can just run this, make this call to the backend. We'll do a try catch. And we'll say await this Axios get, and we need a $ here, API user, then response equal, and then we'll say if response two factor secret, this is enabled equals true. So basically it's just grabbing from the user. We should be getting this information through the setup. So we're not. We need to look for this two-factor when the page is loaded. And that's why we're making this call. So error, and then here we'll just put console log error. Okay, which means that now in our data section, we need a field for the user. And now when this is computed, we can just say, instead of this auth user, we'll just say this user. And then for the mounted, we'll say this get user. Okay, so now let's go ahead and make sure we don't have that error anymore. Okay, so now we have that error still, and then we have a new error, but this is coming from our two-factor authentication route, and this is from the confirm status password. So let's take a look. Confirm password. Why don't we disable this for now? Yeah, because it's calling this route. So we'll go ahead and refresh it and see if we're still getting those errors. And that is because this confirmed status is supposed to be confirmed password status. Let's try it again. Okay, and now our error is gone. Let's go back and put that enabled back in the confirm password method. Make sure that's refreshed. Okay, and let's click on our network tab so that we can see what's going on. And now let's click enable. Okay, so let's go ahead and now add in our password. Confirm. And I think this should be fetch. Now we're getting the correct information. Okay, so now it's changed. You have enabled two-factor authentication. Now let's see. Okay, so our QR code and our list of recovery codes. Fantastic. So now, something that I want to show you is that if we were to, let's say, go to a different page, go to dashboard, and go back to settings, you see that we still have that message, but we're not displaying any of our recovery codes. Okay, and that's basically because whenever we come back to the page, we want to click this button in order to be able to show that. So let's go ahead and fix that. So first we'll scroll up to that text section, which is this store recovery codes, and it says VIF recovery codes. So this whole section, we're only going to show it if, say, recovery codes length greater than 0, then we'll display all of this. That one's done. Now if we go down to where those buttons are, that show recovery codes button, we'll add a if recovery codes length equals 0. Because we have them, they're just not loaded automatically once we get back to the page. So if the recovery code's length equals 0, then this button will display. And on this button, we'll have another method that says @click prevent equals show recovery codes. Okay, so let's head back to the browser, make sure that button's working accordingly. Okay, so that little section is gone. And then now if we click this, it will display our recovery codes for us. Let's also do the regenerate recovery codes. Before we work on disabled, let's take care of that. Now on this button, we'll say VIF rec codes length is greater than 0. Okay, and then the method we'll put on, we'll say @click prevent equals generate recovery codes. Now let's go down and make that method. Under the show, the async generate recovery codes, try catch. And you can of course make all of these into components if you want. I didn't, but you can separate everything out into components just to make this file a little less cumbersome. So await this Axios host API user two factor recovery codes, and response equals this show recovery codes. Catch the error again. We don't really need an error, but we'll say console log error. And we don't actually need this for that. Okay, so go back, refresh. Okay, so as you can see, we are enabled. So now the show recovery codes button is displayed. And now if we click that, we get the recovery codes, and now the regenerate recovery codes button is being displayed. Let's go ahead and click that, and then you'll be able to see how our codes have changed. Okay, and they haven't, so let's go back to this regenerate. I need a $sign here. Okay, let's try it again. Codes, generate. Still nothing. Let's go back and check two factor. Now it should work. Show recovery codes. Okay, so VLII is the first one. That as a reference. And it's not even picking up the click. So let's go up to the button and see what's going on. Generate recovery codes. Click without the E. Okay. Now, this should be the last time I try it. Alrighty then, 1000th time will be the charm. Let's see. Show recovery codes. Okay, VLII. Regenerate. There we go. Okay, cool. So now we have a new set of codes. And every time we click it, it will just go ahead and regenerate a bunch of new codes. Okay, so now that that's sorted, something else I want to take note of. So let's go back down to our methods. And specifically, we're going to the confirm password method. Now, the way that we have this set up, it is fine if all we wanted to do was enable, because what this confirm password is actually doing, it's checking to see whether or not we have a password or we have the confirmation password. And if we log out and want to re-enable or anything like that, we're going to have to reconfirm the password. So this enable function can't be the only one in here. So what we're going to do to alleviate that, we're going to create some if-else conditions here. So we're going to say if this is enabled and this recovery codes length equals 0, then we're going to have this show recovery codes. We're going to run that method. So again, if it's enabled and the recovery codes length equals 0, we're going to show recovery codes, meaning that we're already confirmed. We don't need to reconfirm. There's no need to confirm our password because we've already confirmed it and we're good. We're logged in. We're solid. So if those conditions are met, then we can just show the recovery codes. Okay? Else, we're going to have if this is enabled equals false, then we'll do this enable and just bring this one up. So every time this modal is open, we'll either enable, disable, or just show the recovery codes. We won't even need the modal. Okay. Else, this disable, which we haven't made yet. We will in a second. Okay. So that's just covering all of our bases in terms of that modal popping up. Why don't we go up to our button? And these are good. We don't need to touch that. On this button, this disable button, we can now do at submit event equals disable. Okay, so let's go back down and create that function. So I'm going to just copy this brevity, copy, paste. Now here we'll just say disable. This await will be delete. API user Two Factor Authentication is fine. This enabled equals false. And then since we're not returning any of the codes, we can get rid of that. And then if response data message, this open confirm equals true. So now let's try to see if we can disable these. Go back. Okay, and now we click disable. You have not enabled two-factor authentication, and now we have a new button. So let's click enable. Let's try it again. Okay, so everything works just fine. You have enabled two-factor authentication. Now we have a new QR code, and we have a new list right here. So why don't I go ahead, I'm going to copy these. And I am going to store them right here. And I'm going to take a picture of this and grab the code from that. And you can use whatever authenticator you want. I personally use, I think it's just Authenticator. I think that's it. Yeah, so you can use that to grab that code. So let's go ahead and log out. And now we're going to have to set up some things on our login. If we go to the database and we refresh it, we see that now that this user, let me just grab the email from there. Okay, now this user has the two-factor secret, and the two-factor recovery codes. And as you can see, they're encrypted, so we can't even see them from here. So now let's go ahead and log in. Now that we have two-factor authentication set up, password, we can see what's going to happen without setting up the login credentials and stuff for the front end. Okay, we have our CSRF cookie like it's supposed to. And it's logged in, but it cannot grab the user. So this is unauthorized. That's because we have to set up that login page. Let's go ahead and do that now. Okay, so we can close this for now. And we'll open up the login page. First things first, let me shrink all of this. And we are going to render conditionally. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create 2 template tags. I'm going to open it up, and we're going to bring all of this stuff into it. And this one I'm just going to replace with a bunch of code. So basically, we're just going to switch out either the login form versus the form for the codes. So please confirm, please confirm. We're going to display the code errors, and then these are going to be the forms for the codes themselves. And these are also the buttons for the codes. So let me shrink this real quick. And let's go down to the data section. So the first thing we need is a recovery prop. This we're going to set to false. Then we need a verification property, and we're going to set that to false as well. Not only do we need the form for the login, but we need a new form for the recovery stuff. Okay, so we'll open that up, and we'll say code, empty string, and then recovery code, another empty string. So now we're going to say this verification property. Okay, we're going to come up here, and then we're going to have on this template, so vif verification and velse for the login form. And now we need a way of triggering this verification to display if we need to hit those recovery routes or display the recovery section. Okay, so on the submit, we're going to have await this Axios, just like we already have. And then we are also going to do await this Axios post. And we're going to make a separate call to the API login route with this form. After that, we're going to say then response equals curly brackets. And here we're going to say if no response two-factor, because once we hit that route, we are going to get that that response. Okay, so if it's not if it's not there, meaning we haven't enabled authentication, then we can go straight to this. We'll just go ahead and bring this up. Now we can get rid of this. Then we can have else this verification equals true. And now we'll come down here, and the errors are the same for the validation errors. But down here, we need to have a catch. Error equals this errors equals error response data errors. So basically, this is for this. Because of this, we need to make sure that we have the errors for that, and also the errors for the entire function. And we don't need a wait here since we're already calling it up here. Now let's go ahead back to the browser, refresh it, and then we'll try to log in that user again. Okay, and now we have please confirm access. So this is what we should be getting. So user recovery code or use an authentication code. So we need to also display this conditionally with a button click. So let's head back to the text editor. And now we have some properties that we can use. So recovery and verification, which we already used once. So we're going to go up top. We're going to open up this verification deal in here. In the template, we're going to say if recovery, and then on this one, we're going to say velse. All this is doing is it's showing, please confirm access to your account by entering the authentication code, which is the QR code. And this one is for the recovery code. So if we're entering that, then this is the one that we want displayed. Now let's open up the rest. And here, we're going to put the errors. So vif errors code. And then now here, we can display errors code. Now, if we go down a little bit on the form, we can now uncomment this. Here, we'll put the conditional if no recovery and on this one, we'll just have the velse. If we don't want the recovery codes, then it'll display the QR code. If we do want the recovery codes, then or the form for the recovery code. If it does, then we do want this one. On this form, we're going to say at submit prevent equals. And the method we'll be using for that is verify. Go down a little bit. And on this button, we are going to display some conditional classes to change the color of it. So if it's not recovery codes, then we're going to have it green, with the hover is green, and then if it is recovery, then it'll be blue, and the background blue, and the hover is a darker blue. So now this template will say if no recovery, and now also else. Okay, so our button still submit, and that should all be good. And now on this button right here, I want to put a method to toggle that recovery. So at click prevent equals toggle recovery. And now we can go down and create that method. So let's shrink this. Toggle recovery. This recovery. Now this I've grabbed from an old Laravel installation. This next tick in the function. Say if this recovery, then this refs recovery code focus. Let me put a comma here before I forget. This rec form code equals empty string. And then we also need an else in here. Else this refs code focus this rec form recovery code equals empty string. And we also need to set up that that verify method. So we'll do that now as well. Toggle recovery, say async verify, try catch, await this Axios host API Two Factor challenge this rec form. And after that, we can just call the submit function. So this submit error, this errors equals error dot response data errors. Let's go back to the browser and see what we have. Okay, now we'll go ahead and try to log in that user again. Okay, so please confirm access. So the first one, the default we have is the QR code, which we can put right in here. Or we can toggle that now and add the recovery code. But we can do back and forth. So let's start with the QR code. My code is 249240. Again. Okay, and then it's logged us in. Fantastic. So let's try with one of the recovery codes to log out. Log in. Okay, we'll click on user recovery code, and then we'll go grab one. Copy. Now, remember, whenever you use a recovery code, what it does automatically is it gets rid of it from here, and then it'll replace it with a new one. So your list will be different, but I'll show you once we log in. That in. Okay, fantastic. We're logged in. If we go to settings, okay, you have enabled two-factor authentication. And of course, it doesn't display our codes, but if we click show recovery codes, see, that's why we did that check in the enable method, in the password confirmation method, because of exactly this right here. Password, confirm. Okay, and as you can see, shrink this so you can compare them. Okay, we have the same, everything except for the first one are the same. It only switched out that top one for us. Okay, and now we can go ahead and disable. Fantastic, we're good to go. So that's two-factor authentication done and dusted. I will leave the links down in the description below for the code for GitHub. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.